Have you ever felt it? That strange, invisible tide in a relationship. One person leans in, reaching for connection, and in that very same moment, the other instinctively pulls back. It's a dance as old as time, a push and pull that can feel deeply personal, like a judgment on the love itself. But what if it isn't? At its core, this is a story about emotional asymmetry. How one partner's reach for closeness awakens another's instinct to retreat. It's a fundamental mismatch in the rhythm of connection. This isn't a simple equation of who loves more, or who is right and who is wrong. It's a far more profound story about survival. It's about how our nervous systems, the ancient, silent guardians of our well-being, first learned to navigate the complex world of love and belonging. Long before we had the words for it, our bodies created a blueprint, a map for what feels safe and what feels threatening in our most intimate bonds. This is where yearning meets withdrawal. One is a desperate search for a safe harbor, the other a desperate defense of personal territory. Both are powerful, deeply ingrained forms of protection, shaped and hardened by our unique histories. They are reflexes, not reflections of our heart's true desire. Imagine it. Two hearts, each with its own protective reflex, bound together by one fragile, trembling bond. A bond that is strained not by a lack of love, but by the very strategies each heart uses to try and feel safe within that love. The anxious attachment style often develops when love and care in our early life felt inconsistent, unpredictable. Sometimes the warmth was there and sometimes it was gone, leaving a void of uncertainty. As a result, you learned that connection is a prize to be won, something you must actively pursue and hold on to tightly, lest it vanish. You learn to chase connection, to be vigilant, to listen for the footsteps that might signal its return or its departure. Conversely, the avoidant attachment style often forms when love felt intrusive, overwhelming, or was entangled with expectation and criticism. Closeness didn't feel like a safe haven. It felt like a place where you could lose yourself, where your own needs were secondary. So, you learned to protect your autonomy, your inner world, through distance. You learned that self-reliance is the ultimate safety, and that true peace is found in the quiet space you create for yourself. This history gives birth to the anxious creature within. It is a being woven from static and uncertainty. It feeds on the unknown, interpreting silence not as peace, but as a sign of imminent danger. Every unanswered text, every slight shift in tone, is a threat. For this creature, perpetual motion, reaching, questioning, seeking reassurance, feels like the only way to maintain safety. Stillness is abandonment. And from the other history, the avoidant creature is born. It is a master of camouflage, hiding from the perceived threat of engulfment. It equates closeness with a loss of self, a surrender of its own ground. Its armor is built from independence, and its fortress is solitude. It believes that to be truly seen is to be trapped, and so it retreats into shadow, preserving its energy and its essence. But here is the crucial truth. Attachment is not destiny. It is not a life sentence. It is a learned pattern, a strategy that was once brilliantly adaptive. And because it was learned, it can be understood. It can be compassionately examined. And with awareness and effort, it can be changed. Let's step inside the anxious partner's world. For you, every silence doesn't just feel empty. It feels like a verdict. It's a vast, echoing chamber of doubt. The space between texts, the pause in a conversation, these are not moments of rest, but moments of high alert. Your mind races to fill the void with worst-case scenarios. You become a detective of micro-expressions. You analyze words, tone, timing, searching for clues. This isn't because you're inherently needy or dramatic. It's because your internal security system is wired to believe that love is conditional and uncertain unless it is being actively and constantly reaffirmed. You are searching for the data that proves the connection is still secure. Your body itself becomes an alarm, primed for threat. A delayed response can trigger a cascade of stress hormones. Your heart might race, your stomach might clench. You are physically scanning your environment, both digital and real, for proof that you still matter, that you haven't been forgotten. The path to self-regulation begins with a single powerful act, the pause. When you feel that urge to chase, to question, to demand reassurance, pause. Take a deep breath, feeling your feet on the ground. Remind your nervous system with gentle repetition. My partner's silence is not a statement about my worth. I am safe, even in this uncertainty. This isn't about suppressing your need for connection. It's about grounding yourself before you reach out, so you can ask from a place of calm instead of panic. Now let's enter the world of the avoidant partner. For you, love feels both deeply magnetic and profoundly threatening. There is a genuine desire for connection, a pull toward intimacy. But as you get closer, an internal alarm of a different kind goes off. This proximity awakens a primal fear, not of being abandoned, but of being consumed. It's the fear of losing your autonomy, your sense of self. It's the fear of being leaned on so heavily you might break, or of inevitably disappointing the person who needs so much from you. The expectation of the other person feels like a weight, and your instinct is to create space to breathe. And so, distance becomes your sanctuary. It is a practiced, reliable way to manage the rising tide of overwhelm. Pulling away isn't a rejection of your partner. It's an attempt to regulate your own nervous system, to return to a state of equilibrium where you can feel like yourself again. It is a desperate bid for oxygen. The healing practice here is not to stop needing space, but to communicate it. When you feel that powerful urge to pull away, to go silent, to disappear into your own world, try to articulate the need. A simple phrase like, "I'm feeling overwhelmed and need some time to myself, but I am not leaving you," can be revolutionary. It replaces a disappearing act with a clear, kind boundary, honoring both your need for space and your partner's need for security. Without this awareness, a painful and destructive feedback loop is created. The anxious partner, feeling the distance, increases their attempts to connect. They text more, call more, ask more questions. They seek clarity. But this very pursuit feels like pressure to the avoidant partner, confirming their fear of engulfment. So they retreat further, seeking escape. In this moment, both partners feel profoundly unsafe. The anxious partner feels abandoned, their worst fear realized. The avoidant partner feels invaded, their deepest boundary crossed. Both are simply trying to protect themselves, using the only tools they know. And so the signals get louder, more desperate. The doors close tighter, more definitively. The hurt deepens, carving the same painful groove over and over again, reinforcing the belief that one is too much and the other is not enough. Seek, withdraw. The anxious partner feels panic. The avoidant partner feels pressure and shuts down. The cycle is complete, and it will begin again, stronger next time. The escape from this loop doesn't come from trying harder to change the other person. Healing begins when both partners turn inward and name the pattern itself as the enemy, instead of each other. It begins when you can say, "Ah, there it is, the dance. I see you reaching, and I see me pulling away. This is our pattern. It's not you, it's not me, it's the dynamic between us." For the anxious partner, the work is to find your ground before you reach, to learn that you can soothe your own fears. For the avoidant partner, the work is to challenge the belief that closeness is always a loss of self, to see that true intimacy can be a refuge, not a trap. It's about learning to stay present for one more breath, one more moment. True safety in a relationship is not a static state. It is co-created, moment by moment. It is built in the space where we can learn to honor both the profound need for closeness and the sacred need for space. It is a new dance, one of awareness and compassion. Remember these truths. For the anxious heart, ground yourself before you reach. Your safety comes from within. For the avoidant heart, space doesn't have to mean disconnection. You can ask for what you need. And for both, closeness is not a trap, and intimacy can be the safest place on earth. This dynamic, so often mistaken for simple heartbreak or incompatibility, is something deeper. It is the anatomy of longing and fear, playing out between two people who are both, in their own way, just trying to find their way home.